RuneScape and old school RuneScape are two sides to the same coin, some people say. Though in reality, it's more of a diverging timeline sort of situation where the games split at a single point in time and are now two different realities. RuneScape kept evolving, and its lore, world, and mechanics have continued advancing at a fast pace. Old school RuneScape, however, stayed true to the nostalgic charm of the game, where its gameplay has remained nearly the same since its divergence, and the world has evolved down a different path. Whether you find one version of the game better than the other is an opinion, and no side is more correct than the other. As someone who's been playing since RuneScape Classic, I personally think both versions of the game are just, well, RuneScape. I think both games are good games and can coexist, and the communities from both should do what they can to help both games flourish. There is no reason for discourse between the two games, and I actively encourage players to play both games. And that is what I'm going to start doing. Though old school RuneScape has always appealed to me as a game, I never wanted to restart my progress when the game split. But with friends in both of these games' timelines, it's time for me to try going from RuneScape to RuneScape, experiencing the alternate timeline. Hello again everyone, Kamori here, and welcome back to RuneScape, this time for episode 30. Nice milestone number there. Here are the stats and the levels that I left off with last time. 1280 total level. A little bit of a spoiler here, we only gain one level in this one. I do have the levels required for the Warriors Guild, and I'm sure a lot of people were looking forward to that, but unfortunately I do not get that done this week. I did not get to play all too much at all, and nor did my friend. So all of this is going to be a one-session play turned into a video, and it is just going to be a couple quests. So a little bit of a chill one. Hopefully it's still enjoyable. Going to start off with a return to Kourend over here in the Arceus district. We're going to do the Ascent of Arceus quest. Mori here talking about someone dying. And this is actually a pretty interesting quest to me. So far in Kourend, I've definitely liked the Arceus area the most. I don't know if that's like common. I think it is because it looks the coolest to me, but everyone here in Arceus is technically immortal. And so this death is a very, like, strange occurrence. Like, this shouldn't happen. And Mori is a friend of this person who died, and she's kind of panicking because she doesn't know what to do because, again, everyone's been alive for about 1,000 years because they're all immortal, so they should not be dying. So the first thing she does is like, hey, like, can you help? Can you, like, I don't know what to do. I'm kind of in shock. Can you go tell Counselor Andrews in Kourend Castle about this and see if he has any idea of what to do to help? We come speak with Counselor Andrews. We tell him that there's a death in Arceus, and he's like, that shouldn't be possible. They're immortal. And I'm like, it's happened. What do we do? And he's like, honestly, they keep everything a secret. They haven't told us, so we have no information on what to do. We can't help at all. Would love to, but we can't. You go back and you tell Mori, and you're like, hey, they can't do anything. And she's like, yeah, that sounds typical. They only ever care about themselves. They don't want to help us. But it's like, I mean, to be fair, like, what are they supposed to do? You don't tell them anything, but that's fine. She's like, this is something big. Like, go tell Lord Arceus himself. He's in the Tower of Magic. You come over to the Tower of Magic, and they're like, something's going on in here. We can't let people in. And we're like, there's been a death. And he's like, wow, that shouldn't happen. Maybe that has to do with what's going on inside. Will you help us? And I'm like, let's get in there. Turns out there's a bunch of souls fighting all of the mages, the tower mages. None of them are doing anything. They're all sitting in here, like, yelling at these souls to, like, get away from me and someone deal with them. And aren't you guys supposed to be, like, extremely powerful mages? Part of the whole idea of Arceus is they've been around for 1,000 years. And so they've been studying the Dark Altar and a lot of the magic discoveries and enchantments and anything magical in Kourend is because of the Arceus region, basically. But you come in here, and none of them can fight. I'm casting a level 39 spell. I don't know if you had to use Crumble Undead in this fight. The wiki said to bring Crumble Undead, so maybe that's kind of they're unable to do it, and so someone has to help them with it, but not the greatest spell in this game. In RuneScape 3, they've updated it, and it's actually a very good spell for combat encounters where it's effective, especially things like Vorkath or like Edemus and stuff like that. It's quite good. I think it has a cap of like 15 damage in OSRS, and you can't auto-cast it without like a Slayer Staff or like very specific weapons, and that's a little bit of a downside, but all the Tower Mages I think look really cool. All the NPCs around Arceus do. You clear off all the tortured souls, and then you come upstairs to try to speak with, I thought his name was Lord Throbbin Arceus. Thankfully it's not Lord Throbbin Arceus, but it turns out he's concentrating, he's casting a really powerful spell. His son Asteros is next to him and is like, hey, he really can't talk or interact with anyone. He's basically turned his body into a dark altar to keep the power going. He lets us know that for some reason the power of the dark altar is fading, and that his father is using his body as like, you know, a ritual to expend what power it has left to keep the immortality alive. And it turns out his father wasn't the person who brought immortality to Arceus. It was these three down here in Mount Karum. The Tazakal, I believe is how it's pronounced, Tazakal. As far as I know, they're like a sub-branch of the Tizhar, or the Zekhar, however you want to pronounce it, down under the Kramja volcano. But you come down here and you're like, hey, someone's dying in Arceus, and they're like, oh, we remember Arceus, like the liar. We gave him the ability to pause time, basically, and he's abusing that power and using it in other ways. There needs to be death and life. We need balance and everything like that. And I'm like, I need to help them. And they're like, fine, if you can do this for us, there's a soul to the south that needs to be released because there needs to be balance. If you can help us, we'll find a way to help him. And I'm like, you know what? I've got it. I'll go down there and I'll deal with that. You guys look into figuring out what's going on at the Dark Altar. You come down here, the crypt has been open. And so now you do a little bit of a hunting activity here where you follow the footsteps, you go to the next bush that the footsteps lead up to, you search that bush, more footsteps go away. It's a kind of a weird like mechanic to be thrown into this quest. And the getting down to business song that is playing in this area during this quest is very not fitting for the activity that I am currently doing. It was a very like happy-go-lucky sounding song at this point, so that was kind of funny. You track it all the way to the east of the farming guild over here. You check this last plant, and what pops out? A trapped soul. So again, thankfully I still have my Crumble Undead spell. Throw it at him here. I'm not wearing any magic gear. I'm wearing full graceful. And I don't know if these things actually have like a weakness to magic or Crumble Undead, if it boosts the accuracy or anything, but you know, we're sitting here, we're casting it. Doesn't take too long whatsoever. Get the kill. You know, you get the bones, you gotta bury them, you gotta be respectful. And then you make your way back to Mount Karum, speak with Kal, Ket, Jor, and all of them. And they're like, thank you very much for doing this. Like, you were busy, and while you were gone, we've also been busy. The Dark Altar is totally fine. The power is not waning whatsoever. It turns out the power is being diverted somewhere else. There is a mechanism nearby created by a mortal that the power is being directed to. If you go deal with that, the power will be restored to Arceus. And I'm like, all right, go to the Dark Altar, find something nearby, and destroy it. You come back to the Dark Altar. There's a bunch of rocks around it. You inspect the rocks until you find a hidden strange device. You just smash it and you just leave it there. That seems kind of like a weird thing. Why not just bring it with you or something like that? But you come back to the Tower of Mage, or Tower of Magic. You speak with Lord Arceus, who is like, you have solved the problem. I was able to stop channeling the spell. because the Dark Altar is now functioning. What happened? How did you do it? You talk about your trip to the Tasakal, and he's like, oh, they're greedy. They think they're above us. They think they're superior in every way. Like, we have immortality as well, but they still think of us below them, blah, blah, blah. But it's still strange that someone created a way of diverting power from the Dark Altar. Like, we'll have to look into this further another time. Thank you for doing that for us, but for now, we don't really have anything else for you to do. This is a concern, though, so foreshadowing that there will be more about this. A very cool concept, though. That is the Ascent of Arceus done, though. We get 1 quest point, 2,000 coins, 1,500 Hunter EXP, 500 Runecraft EXP, and a memoir page. The concept of the Tasakal, 46 Runecraft coming in, worshipping like a higher power or something like that. Don't they just worship the Elder God full, like the Tezhar do? The one who like created them and everything? Maybe there's more to it. While we're still in Corinth, though, we're going to go start on another quest. Over here, speaking with Phileas Rimor, talks about how a parcel was delivered to him with no name. He didn't see who delivered it, and inside was a note and a journal, and the journal was from King Shazian VII himself, basically talking about the expedition that his great-grandfather was sent on to Mount Quidamortum, and how no one ever returned, but he thinks because of this journal that clearly people did return, or at least someone did, and he kind of wants to know what happened. And so he's like, hey, can you go try to figure out what's going on? Can you go to the Arceus library, try to get information on King Shazian VII's expedition to Mount Quidamortum? Because I want to know what's going on. There was a note saying that creatures in the mountain are compatible and they're ready to be reproduced. Possibly concerning. You come back to the Arceus library, you get teleported into the new like history section that is open to public now. You speak to someone in here, and I'm like, hey, can you tell me about the expedition to Mount Quidamortum? And he's just like, no, don't have any information on that. I'm like, all right, do you have any information about King Shazian, I guess? And he's like, let's do this, I guess. We'll talk about this. Coincidentally, it happened at the exact same time as the Mount Quidamortum expedition, but it turns out that King Shazian was a very big fan of the Tower of Magic here, and built a prison inside of it. That's what he was particularly known for. And I'm like, can I check out this prison? And he's like, well, I mean, it's kind of been abandoned for a long time, so I don't see why not. Do you want to go now? And I'm like, yeah, get me into this prison. Teleports me into this prison. It's just a small, like, cross-chambered room with a strange device in the middle. Thankfully, Quest Helper plugin explains what to do with it, but the first thing I noticed in this room is the 4 crystals around it remind me of the crystals in the Chambers of Xeric. It's like in like the crab room or something. I feel like I've seen videos of people doing chambers, and I have no idea like exactly what's going on in that room or the mechanics behind it, but that's just what these crystals remind me of. And then you hit the strange device with like 3 different combat styles, melee, range, and magic in a specific order to shoot something into the crystals, turning them white, apparently. And that seems kind of similar to what I know of the Chambers of Xeric. I don't know if this is a prelude to it or just like a introduction to the mechanic in the Chambers. I don't know which came out first or if these came out at the same time, the quest and the Chambers. But I'm quite excited for Chambers someday. I know I'm pretty far away from even attempting it, but Chambers always seemed like a lot of fun. You complete the puzzle by turning all 4 white, and it opens up this prison door to the north. You go inside, there's a dead body and a note that says, "Lizards on the mountain, do not trust the king. The altar is a lie." I don't know if this is supposed to be Magnus, the great-grandfather, or anything like that, or just someone. But you bring that information back to Rimor and you explain, hey, I went inside. King Shazian VII created this prison, and inside the prison I found a dead body. And on the dead body, or next to it, there was a note. And he's like, oh, like someone from the expedition had to have survived. Like, do you think it was Magnus? And I'm like, I have no idea. Like, it's been dead for hundreds of years. He's like, well, we need to go explore Quidamortem. Go speak to Lord Shazian and get permission, because everyone that goes to Quidamortem needs his permission to do research there. So you come to Lord Shazian and you're like, hey, I have reason to believe that the expedition King Shazian VII sent to Quidamortem actually didn't end the way that people thought it did. Can I go there and explore it? And he's like, sure, but any information that you find about King Shazian VII, bring it to me first. He is an ancestor. If anyone is getting information on things that may put him in a dark, view of the public, I want to know it first before you report back to the library. And I'm like, it seems a little bit sus to me. Like, you kind of want to control information, but sure, we'll do it. You make your way up to the top of Mount Quidamortem. I keep saying Quidamortem just because it's a fun word to say. To speak with someone named Duffy, and he's like, I'm researching stuff on my own up here. Like, I'm kind of busy. What do you want? And I'm like, here's the whole spiel. We think the expedition came. Turns out there might have been lizards or creatures up here. And he's like, oh my God, that's in line with exactly what we're exploring up here ourselves. Like, we actually think we know where to start. There's a crevice on the west side of the mountain that seems man-made and seems very old, that was potentially created by Zarek, who was the ruler of Kourend after King Shazian VII, and he was almost like an evil dictator, is kind of what I'm understanding it as. But he's also saying that people might also think that Shazian VII and Zarek are one and the same, or something like that, he mentions later. You bring a rope to this crevice, you drop down, and wow, we're in this really cool blood red crystal-y cave. Kind of reminds me of the colors of the Corrupted Gauntlet mixed with the layout of the caves in Zarek's, or the Chambers of Zarek's. You mine this first big rock, you come and you push the second one. So now we've done hunting and we've done mining in this quest. Keep note of that. We've done 2 activities requiring different skills. And then you come over towards this gate, and what pops out? A corrupted lizard man. Easy enough. I don't know if you have to range them or anything. That's just, everyone always seems to range lizard men when they're doing the Dragon Warhammer grind. So I was like, you know what, I'll bring range myself. Plus it is the skill that I want combat EXP in at the moment. They poison me. Good thing I got those super anti-poisons on me. Come prepared, you know what I'm talking about. Easy enough to kill though. Take no damage because he just melees, and so you pray melee. And I was pretty excited about the Zarishian fabric drop, but I'm pretty sure it's a guaranteed actually. And I didn't know about it until I got here, but thankfully I had the perfect amount of inventory space once I re-equipped my staff and book. Not sure if I'll sell those, keep those. I don't think Zarishian robes are very good for my level at this point already, but you move on. Go through the gate. It's a magic gate, apparently. Very cool looking room, though. Very ominous. There's a huge unstable altar at the end, some creepy skeleton things on the sides, but mysterious voice, Ricard, turn away, don't do this. And I'm just like, what was that about? It's like, is there someone here? No idea, no explanation on who that was, what that voice was. Maybe that was Magnus, who knows? You come back to Duffy and you're like, dude, there was a corrupt lizardman down there. Don't worry, I killed him. I'm a pro at this. But there's also an altar down there. And he's like, oh my God, it's safe. We'll go down there. Meet us there. Doesn't teleport us. We have to walk back down ourselves. You come down here and he's basically like, wow, this place definitely predates Zarek. Like, these lizards are definitely related to the lizard men that have been attacking Shazian and everything like that. But we also think Zarek might actually be Shazian himself. They're 2 different people in history, but they might actually be the same person. A lot of people think they're the same. And he's like, I'm going to keep studying these lizards and this altar and everything. But my assistant here, who is from Arceus, also has some more information. Nosy over here, go speak with them. I speak with Nosy. And he's basically like, the Dark Altar is the key to our immortality. Zarek was immortal, and so we always wondered how he survived so long over in Quidamortem, away from the influence of the Dark Altar. He should have basically died. But it turns out this altar in here is basically extending the range of the Dark Altar. It's basically like a Wi-Fi extender, if you will. And so the power of immortality was extending this far out, and he's like, and that's kind of sus, because we always thought he did die, because he hasn't, shown himself or done anything in a long time, but if the Dark Altar here is still giving him the power to be immortal, there's a chance that he's still alive. And that's kind of a concern, because he was not a great person. But that also means that there could be other altars in other locations, because this was definitely man-made, kind of like the device from the last quest. Things are all coming together, but he's basically like, this is a concern, go tell Shazian. We make our way back, and he's like, how's your research? We explain everything that we have found so far with the Lizard Man and the altar, and he's like, you never really explained, like, where this information about the expedition and everything came from. And I'm like, oh yeah, this guy basically said a journal from King Shazian VII was delivered by parcel to him, but we have no idea who sent it. And he's like, okay, well, go ask the guy to, go ask Ramus to bring us the journal. Like, this is something that we need to look into. Go back, bring it here, or have him come deliver it. We need to, like, verify this proof. I said Ramus, it's Rimor. My bad. Yeah, go ask Phileas Rimor to give us the journal so we can inspect it and look further into this. This is very important to, our kingdom and my ancestors. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'll go see if Rimor is willing to give up the journal. You go back to Rimor's place, and it's just been thrashed, apparently. He's not here. Everything looks tossed and turned, and stuff is thrown off the table. I go back, and I'm like, I think he might have been, like, kidnapped or something. He's gone. His place was trashed. And he's like, well, that's definitely not good. But without that journal, we can't really prove the relevance or any of the findings having any connection to Zarek or his ancestor, Shazian VII. But he's like, but what you did find is still very relevant information. So thank you for that. I will let the researchers know to document everything, and we will give all of the information over to the library, which is kind of a redeeming quality when he said he kind of wanted to filter it earlier, but that's all it is. Tale of the Righteous completed, 1 quest point, 8,000 coins, and a memoir page. We did hunter, we did mining, we did combat, and all we get is gold. Lame. But unfortunately, that is really all I was able to do this week. 2 quests that were kind of, I don't want to say boring, but they weren't very, like, active or anything like that. But the lore is really cool to me, because Kourend is, I think, a really cool addition to RuneScape, and I've always been curious about it. So I had fun doing these quests. I'm pretty excited to continue the Kourend quest line, because I think the lore is really cool. But as I said earlier, there's 1 level gained. We did get level 46 rune crafting. Sorry this was a bit of a shorter episode. I hope you guys are still enjoying it, though. I am still trying to get my friend to do the Warriors Guild grind with me, so hopefully we can get that done within the next week, if not soon enough. Thank you guys all very much for watching, though. I hope you enjoyed it, and hope to see you all back in another one. And until then, take care. Peace.